back, everyone, to Pod of Thrones. I'm Jeff.
I'm Jennifer.
Welcome back, babe. So last time we spoke, we were in the run-up to LA Comic-Con, which is something that we did not do this year. We didn't even go.
Right. Will, you want to explain why?
Yeah, well, actually, I think if I did my job right, I cut out the LA Comic-Con part of the last episode. So now that I'm thinking about it, here's what we didn't do. We didn't go to LA Comic-Con, everybody.
Surprise!
Because last time we recorded, we were talking about how we were going to do a panel at LA Comic-Con. And hey, if you're going to be at LA Comic-Con, come say hi. And hey, if you have any input on what we should talk about at this panel, come, or send us an email or whatever. And
then we sucked.
And then well, it's really just me.
You sucked.
We did talk last time about some of my recent health issues and how I just wasn't feeling great and pretty drained energy wise. And as shortly after, within a day or two after recording that, I was like, oh God, I haven't even started any research for this panel yet. And it's got to have research done. This might not be a great idea because I don't know when I'm going to start feeling better. And I do feel quite a bit better now, finally.
But we don't know how you are, really.
Well, in terms of the actual kidney stone, it might still be in me. But I do overall feel a lot better than I did,
Yes.
couple, 2-3 weeks ago. Over the last few weeks. It's been
a journey.
Crazy. So we didn't go to LA Comic-Con. I sent in a cancellation notice. I felt terrible about it. Dustin McGinnis was going to come be our fill-in lore master since lore master Kevin is way too far away for any of this nonsense. He was going to help out, but ultimately it just was not working out. So, yes. So that's what we didn't do.
That is what we did not do.
Right. So let's talk about what we did do.
Okay.
And by us, I mean the people at HBO.
Okay.
So first topic on my list tonight, babe.
Yes.
Our panel was supposed to be, let's do predictions of what the Game of Thrones prequel is going to be. And then it did strike me as sadly ironic that like a day after LA Comic-Con, they started coming out with some news about the prequel. I was like, fuck, we were so close, except we were going to be trying to predict plot, and they didn't really give much news about that, but there was a little bit of news.
Okay.
So I was reading on Variety. The biggest part of the news that came out recently was casting. Did you hear about this?
No, I haven't heard anything. All of this is going to be a surprise. I've been so busy. Going to be a surprised.
You are.
I was going to be surprised.
Did we talk about the fact that you're back in like classes again and stuff?
I'm in classes. I'm working crazy times, and kids are in school, and I am a taxi.
You're a taxi? Sexy taxi. You could be a sex cab.
Ooh, that sounds like a good show.
Yeah.
Ooh, a podcast.
Sex cab?
Yeah, not so great with the kids in the back.
No, it's got to be grown-ups. Oh, yeah, you could become an Uber driver, and you record a podcast while you're driving people around, and you ask them about sex.
Yes. What makes
actually
them...
a pretty amazing idea.
Jizz.
Someone's going to steal this from us.
What makes them jizz? What makes you jizz?
Does that include girls? Do girls jizz?
Well, I mean, I'm just using that as a general term.
Well, maybe you're only interviewing men. I don't know.
Some girls do.
I do worry in this day and age, though. I get maybe it's only on like Twitter and
I can't believe we're
Tinder
talking about
everything.
this right now.
But I just
hope
feel
your
like
mom's not listening.
if you, my mom does not listen to our Game of Thrones podcast.
Thank God.
I just I feel like if you were driving a car and then you were like, so let's talk about sex. What makes you jizz?
They didn't be like suing me.
No, the opposite. It seems like we live in an era where the guy would just be like, oh, well, I'll show you what makes me jizz and just whip it out.
No, I don't want to see. I just want to hear.
I know. Well, I don't want you to see. But yeah, that's just like Twitter in a nutshell, isn't it? Do you ever get unsolicited dick pics on Twitter? Because I see lots of girls talking about that.
No.
Oh.
Never.
Well, lucky you.
Never. I'm not that hot.
You don't post very
I
many.
Was
you
when I
don't
was
post
younger,
very many
maybe.
pictures of yourself. If you did, you might get some.
No, I'm just an old lady.
Hardly. So anyway, what were we talking about? Game of Thrones, I think.
Casting.
How did this happen? Casting. Game of Thrones casting news. They have their big star and that is Naomi Watts.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. You know who she is, right?
Yes.
Yes. So what comes to mind when you think of Naomi Watts? What's the first
thing?
Nothing? Oh, that's sad. But you know she's a star.
Yes.
Okay.
She's blonde, right? With
Yep.
blue eyes.
Blonde
What was she
Australian,
in?
Well, she's been in tons of shit. And I was looking her up, too.
Recent.
So the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Naomi Watts is the United States version of The Ring, the horror movie with the girl, you know, the
Really?
Because she was the main star of that.
Really?
And then I feel bad because I feel like that shouldn't be the first thing that comes to my head when I think of Naomi Watts.
Okay, well, tell me what else she's been in, because I know you know.
I don't know. Mulholland Drive is probably the most famous.
I have not seen that.
But the other movie that she was in that I absolutely adore and is a quality film is Eastern Promises.
Nah, haven't seen that one either.
Do you know what that one is?
Is there karaoke in it?
No.
Okay, no, I don't.
You're
I don't know.
No karaoke.
I think I'm thinking of like 48 Hours 2 or
wow. No.
something.
Naomi Watts is not that old. She couldn't have been in 48 Hours 2. Or another 48 Hours. No. Eastern Promises was Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. Can't remember his name right now.
Wow, okay.
Damn it. Playing a Russian mobster in London. And Naomi Watts is a nurse who has come across a baby that that baby could be problematic for the Russian mob in London. That's all I'm going to say, because it's actually a brilliant movie, and it's got some cool twists and turns as it goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We should watch it.
I'd be happy to. Oh, and if you're really into it, Aragorn penis. Yeah.
Aragorn?
From Lord of the Rings.
I know, but what's his real name?
I don't know. I mean, I should know. But you know who I'm talking about.
I think so. The blonde elf?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's Legolas, you freakazoid.
No, the older guy.
Ah, God dang it.
What's that guy's name? The king elf.
He's not an elf. No.
I know, but I'm just saying, what's his name? The king elf. Isn't it something like that?
Shit. I want to say, no, I don't have his name in my head right now. He's the king of like Rivendell.
Yes.
Yeah. Viggo Mortensen.
He was in Ghostbusters.
What? The fuck? Are you talking about? Wait. I'm sorry. Hold on. Are you talking about Ghostbusters 2? The evil painting whose name was Lord Vigo?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what's happening right now, everybody. She's probably on drugs. No, Viggo Mortensen was not in Ghostbusters 2. I don't know the name of the actor that played Lord Vigo the Carpathian, but it was not Viggo Mortensen.
I just cracked myself up.
You sure did. On a better day, I would know all the names of all the characters and actors in Lord of the Rings, but right now I've got Game of Thrones stuff on my head, on my mind.
So back to Game of Thrones.
Right.
Okay.
So anyway, Naomi Watts, she's been in a lot of shit. There you go. Most recently, Twin Peaks, I think was.
I don't know how I know who that is because I've not seen any of these shows or movies.
King Kong, the King. Oh, well, and there's a tie-in for you because the new King Kong that she was in was done by the same guy that did Lord of the Rings. Peter Jackson. Ha! I got one name.
Okay.
You didn't see that either?
No.
Oh, Jesus. All right. Well, at least you know who she is. Okay. So going back to, I guess, my phone then, the Variety article has this to say, because, of course, no real information is going to be coming out. But Naomi Watts will star in the Game of Thrones prequel that hails from Jane Goldman. The exact details of Watts' character are being kept under wraps, but it is known. She is playing, quote, a charismatic socialite hiding a dark secret.
Ooh, she's going to be fancy in her dresses.
Probably. I'm a little surprised to hear that there's going to be anything resembling a socialite in the
Right,
Game of Thrones
at
prequel.
this stage.
Because it seemed I can't find actual concrete proof that the Game of Thrones prequel really is going to be the thousands of years ago, the long night and the events leading up to it with the first men and fighting the children of the forest. But a lot of websites have reported that that's what it is supposedly going to be. I just don't know where that originally came from. But if we're thinking back to that time of the first men and the children of the forest and the first White Walkers and the Night King and all that, a charismatic socialite seems out of place.
Sure does.
But then again, I don't know that much about that aspect of the world of Game of Thrones, so maybe. Anything's possible. Mm-hmm. And maybe they're lying. Maybe she's going to be fucking the child of the forest. Maybe she'll be the main one. Oh, that'd be kind of cool.
She looks like Child of the Forest.
She could be,
people.
Yeah, totally. You just got to put all that gray makeup on her.
Yeah.
She'd make a very good Child of the Forest.
Okay.
Yeah. So
good to know.
Also
anybody
in the article.
Else?
No, that's all they've announced. But there was a little bit more in regards to what the prequel or prequels, because there's still others that are theoretically in the works that have not been decided upon. HBO's just said this is the one we're going to produce first. That's all they've said. But it was also mentioned in this article, and I don't know how new this news is, but George R.R. Martin has gone on the record in saying that the all the projects in the works are prequels, no spin-offs, but we knew that. And he did rule out certain fan theories, number one being something that we've talked about many times, which is Robert's Rebellion.
Right.
So that will not be one of the prequels. No one's working on that. Yeah.
That's kind of a bummer.
Kind of a bummer, but it is what it is.
But I guess not. Maybe we've had enough of Ned Stark.
Be young Ned Stark. He was awesome in that, that one fight he was in at the...
Yeah.
What's it called? Tower of Joy. That's it.
Yeah.
I wanted to say Tower of Fates because of
who
that.
Who knows what's going to happen?
Do you remember that video we watched where someone took Duel of the Fates from Star Wars and put lightsabers in? And that was awesome.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, he was cool. But that's not what it's going to be. And they have also ruled out these stories of Sir Duncan the Tall and Aegon the Unlikely, or Dunk and Egg as they are popularly known. And I think Lore Master Kevin's brought that one up a number of times, but that is not what's happening in these prequels. So there you go.
Well, I mean, that might be happening someday.
Sometime. Anything's possible down the line. You never know.
Right. But not right now.
There was another article I was looking at that listed the people involved with the other 4 creative projects, the other 4 prequel projects. Mm-hmm. And 2 of them listed somebody, no one I've necessarily heard of, and George R.R. Martin as working on the writing and collaborating on this prequel. And then I just, he's never going to come out with Winds of Winter, right?
I know. Well, like I said, once somebody, a friend of his or something, I was reading a blog, said that he doesn't know how to finish because he killed off a character that he needed. I don't know how true that is, but sources say.
Maybe, but it's his fucking book. He can do whatever he wants. He can bring someone back to life. It happened to Jon Snow in the show.
How do you continue with something that you've already been, I don't know, not biased, but, he's been tainted by the show?
But he had some input in the direction of the show.
Not after season.
No, he stopped having input altogether?
Yes, after season, I don't remember which season, but yes.
I would think you couldn't at least bounce things off him to make sure it was okay.
I don't know. He stopped writing, or I'm sure he wrote some little scenes. Yeah, you're probably right, but he and a show let them develop the story from a certain point.
Yes, but a show like this has to have a skeleton in place way beforehand. So he must have helped them lay out the skeleton. Here's how the show will eventually end in very basic, broad strokes. you guys get to do whatever you want in the middle of all of that. But at the end of it,
no, he wouldn't tell them.
Of course he would, because he knows what's going to happen in his own books. That's why he's struggling with Winds of Winter. If he wrote himself into a corner, that's because he decided to take a character off in some direction. And then later on, he realized that's going to like fuck up his other grand plans. Because if it wasn't going to fuck up your grand plans, you just keep writing and just see where the character goes, because it's all just creatively flowing out of your brain. But if it starts to conflict with the other notes you have, then
you're screwed, and the books are already published.
Yes, screwed. I like that.
Yes, screwed.
Yes, screwed. You're wacky tonight.
It's been a wacky day.
Right. So there's our Game of Thrones prequel news, such as it is. Naomi Watts. And everyone should go watch Eastern Promises, because that is a great movie.
Will do.
Mm-hmm. Let's remember to watch that together, you and me. So some other stuff we've been doing that is peripherally related to Game of Thrones. There is a tie-in that I'm thinking a lot of our listeners aren't going to know about, or a lot of Game of Thrones fans aren't going to know about unless they frequent the internets. And even then, I don't know if it's been a popular topic, but we've been watching not done yet, The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix.
It's pretty spooky.
So it's very spooky. Would you call it a horror or just like a supernatural thriller?
I would say is supernatural thriller a category?
I think so.
If it is, then I would call it that. Because you're right, horror is not, there's no blood and gore.
But there are some jump scares.
There are a lot of jump scares.
A lot?
A lot. Or there's a lot of anticipation of them. There's very drawn out.
Tension. Oh, so much tension.
Yes. Yes. I am getting tension just thinking about it.
And do you remember, I hope you remember, why this ties into Game of Thrones?
Oh,
come on.
No. I'm sure you'll refresh my memory, though.
This show does a lot of flipping back and forth in time, and there's kids and there's adults, but the first adult we really got to know in this show is played by Michiel Huisman, who is second Dario Naharis.
Oh, right.
The one that I guess we should just call him Dario Naharis, because first Dario didn't really last that long. He was only on for a few episodes, right?
He doesn't look anything like Dario, so it didn't even click.
Have we ever talked about how in the books Dario Naharis has like purple hair?
No.
Yeah. Kind of weird.
Naturally?
Just look up sometime. There's some articles of like, here's what the Game of Thrones characters look like in the show, and here are artist renditions of what they look like based on their description of the book. And purple hair.
Wow.
Yeah, purple hair. That's a thing. So, yes, this ties into Game of Thrones because our beloved Dario Naharis, after getting dumped by Daenerys, he moved on and is now on this new hit show for Netflix.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
I don't know how...
It fills me with such joy that I finally found a fit for my need for...
Speed?
Scaring.
Scare. Oh, yes.
It's just enough.
It's just the right kind of scary?
It's just the right kind. It's everything that I love about being scared.
I'm very interested to see how this ends, because we are 4 or 5 episodes into the show.
Right. How long can this go? Or
is it
going to turn into something else next time?
I don't know. That's the thing. It's 10 episodes. We don't know how it ends. Please don't spoil it for us. Maybe we should do a spoiler cast about it sometime after we're done.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little general chit chat. But this kind of show seems like it wouldn't be something to leave room for a season 2.
Right. How could it?
I don't know. But maybe it will become clear.
Unless it's going to be a very long story.
Well, I'm really enjoying the show, but I'm going to be a little critical on a couple things. They are really drawing it out in terms of how they're telling a particular aspect of the story, because the same thing has happened like in the first 4 episodes. It's sort of showing, and it's both cool, but there are parts of it that irritated me. It's showing like the same series of events, but through different characters' perspectives, and it all keeps coming around to the same event of something that happens to one of the characters.
Right.
That has been hard to follow at times because there's also so much jumping around in the timeline. There's a lot of flashbacks. And so you have the kids and you have the adults, but then on top of that, there's also flashbacks for the adults where it's like something else that's happening like 2 months ago, 6 years ago, 3 days ago, 3 days earlier or whatever. So I've been finding it a little hard to follow at times.
I feel like it's as if everybody's trying to outdo the other timeline shows. You know, trying to throw in another twist.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think you're right. It does feel like that. Like people love shows like Westworld where timelines get really crazy and confusing. So we're going to do that. And we're going to keep you constantly guessing as to what's going on and when. Right. It does feel like that.
Although you can kind of know when because they're kids when it was back then.
Yes. But the adult stories have gotten confusing.
Right. There's a little bit of time slip there too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there is. The other thing about this show that is both amazing and also irritating is that the casting was done brilliantly well, especially for the women of the family.
Oh my goodness. It's hard to tell them apart sometimes. Yeah,
exactly.
All the women look so much alike.
The mom, when she's in flashbacks, and the grown-up sisters.
They all look like a combination of her.
It's hard to tell them all apart.
Yeah, they did really well.
I don't know how they did it. It's brilliant casting, but also, again, irritating because it's like, oh my God, I don't know.
Who is that? Which one is that?
Which sister is this?
Yeah. Oh, who is that again?
Yeah.
But now we're getting
the hang of it. But if I hadn't already heard that this show was so amazing, like 1 or 2 episodes in, I might have just been like, what is happening? I don't know what's going on. Right. I think it's possible that could just confuse me out of the show. The two sisters really look identical.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. And they're not related in real life at all. But yeah. But it's a great show. Spooky, scary, tense.
Very, very, very tense.
And it's all paranormal related.
Yay.
Mm-hmm. And it's got great family themes, and it's got an addiction story that I feel rings very close to home sometimes.
Right. Right now, hitting home close to home.
Yeah, it does, babe. Oh, babe. Yeah, good stuff. So I got to recommend that. I can't say anything else about it without A, spoilers, and B, we haven't finished it. But Michael Huisman, Dario Naharis, number 2.
Yep.
He's great.
He's the lead.
Mm-hmm. And then the other thing that we checked out recently, and this one I got to give a shout out to a faithful listener and friend of the show, Lionheart. Always nice to hear from you. He recommended a show that we should check out, and it happened to be on Netflix. And the English name of the show, or English. I was going to say Americanized version of the show, but no, the English version of the show. It's called Resurrection Ertugrul. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but
probably not.
Let's see if I can pull it up here. So this is a show. So it was
Google Translate it, like do a speak and spell
on the whole show.
No, on the name.
Oh, just the name. It's
always fun.
Get it? Well, I don't know what it sounds like in Turkish, but it's been translated to Resurrection Ertugrul. And so the way Lionheart described it was if they had made a show like Game of Thrones, but in Turkey. And I said, all right, I'll check that out.
That sounds amazing.
So we did. I mean, who wouldn't want, in a world where we have so little Game of Thrones, who wouldn't want some more Game of Thrones?
Right.
So we watched just the first episode so far, but I think we're gonna check out some more because it was fun. So that's the first thing. I think if you're into Game of Thrones and you're feeling the loss like us, go check this show out if you have Netflix. If you don't, I'm sorry. It is subtitled, so you have to be ready to read. And that actually caused big delays because we're always multitasking stuff.
Right. Yeah, so that's hard for us to...
Yeah. Like, for as much as we're still into, let's say, Walking Dead, Walking Dead still gets multitasked.
Right.
Like there's other things going on. It could be reading something. You could be doing homework. Who knows? But there's usually something else going on.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to really buckle down to watch the first episode of Resurrection Ertugrul. And then I really enjoyed it. It was fun. Did you enjoy it?
I liked it. Yeah, it was done very well.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised.
There are some really big surprising aspects to that. The fact that it was well done, I mean, why couldn't they make a quality show in Turkey? But I'll come back to why it was most surprising. So this show, we have a hero. His name is Ertugrul.
I have no idea who's who.
He is the hunter of the village. And he starts the show by getting his hunting party ready to go hunt.
Right, okay.
Now it turns out that this is more historical fiction than a fantasy show like Game of Thrones.
Right,
Didn't
which
know
is
that
very
going
interesting.
in. So this actually takes place in the Middle East in, I don't know what year, but what we find out relatively quickly is, first of all, there's some kind of drought or famine or something going on. So there's not a lot of food. That's why it's important that Ertugrul's a hunter. He's trying to feed his people.
Mm-hmm.
But also the backdrop of all of this is the Crusades.
Yes.
So we have a lot of guys running around in like the white,
white with the red cross.
The white with the red cross going on, yeah. And there are some interesting casting choices there. So I will say a critical thing, like if this was going to be more like Game of Thrones, I wish they would have done something a little bit different with the Crusaders. Because it would appear that they cast all Turkish actors, right? And they're all speaking Turkish. But if you think about like the Dothraki in Game of Thrones, we were reading Dothraki subtitles forever because they never spoke the same language as everybody else or the same language as the people watching the show.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they would have done that with the Crusaders, because
that would have been cool.
I'm a little confused about them. I'm not sure if they're supposed to be European or if they're like
the Turkish Crusaders.
Well, like people that were converted and now they're fighting
could
against
be.
their own people in like a civil
are.
war. I'm not really clear on that, but we're only one episode in, so maybe it'll start to make more sense. But there was one guy, there was at least one Crusader who we saw who he had his helmet off and just this wonderful blonde curly wig, which was
I thought that was
it seemed like that was supposed to make him look more European because they didn't have blonde hair dye back then. Like he wasn't just trying to be trendy.
It was real.
That was a real blonde curly mane?
Yes.
It's got to be very rare in Turkey.
Maybe they dyed his hair.
As a person of Semitic descent myself, not a lot of blonde curly haired people running around in the Jewish tribes. I don't think there are in the other tribes of that region.
Well, there's this guy.
The one guy, right.
Right.
But he was supposed to be a Crusader, right? So that's why I'm thinking he was supposed to be European, and that worked pretty well, except he was not speaking a European language. I would have expected maybe English.
That would be hard to have.
Or maybe French, something.
Right.
But it would work, right? Because we've done it with the Dothraki.
But this is probably not the budget of Game of Thrones.
Okay, I want to talk about their budget. I want to talk about the surprising stuff. Okay, so here's the thing. We watched one episode of Resurrection Ertugrul, and it was entertaining, very violent, some great choreography on the fight scenes. I mean, considering that, again, it's not Game of Thrones and it's not coming out of the usual Hollywood machine.
And they're like hefting those swords and things.
Yeah.
They're not like fake light swords. They look heavy, like they're struggling sometimes.
They were getting tired with the fighting, right? But really good fight scenes. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it. There was this grand melee in the middle of the first episode involving a whole bunch of Crusaders and some rough and tumble tribesmen or clansmen or whatever they would be called. I don't want to talk about too much about them. But it was very well done. I was super impressed. And then when the episode was over, I was like, okay, well, that was fun. We should watch more soon. And I went to go look at Netflix to find out how much more we could watch. The show is dated as 2015. So we're 3 years in. Mm-hmm. And Netflix is showing 2 seasons of the show. Cool. Now, babe, let's see if we can jog your memory. If this was Game of Thrones for 2 seasons, how many episodes would there be?
18, maybe? 19?
That would be 20.
What, 10?
Game of Thrones had 10 episodes a season.
Well,
every season.
I'm just saying on average.
Right. But Game of Thrones now, as it comes to a close, I think the count is going to be 73 episodes. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
In what appears to be 2 seasons of Resurrection Ertugrul, they have produced very nearly, but not quite, 200 episodes.
And they're all an hour.
Yeah. So I guess it's more like it's like General Hospital or Days of Our Lives or something. It's like a daily soap opera. I don't know. Because if it's General Hospital, right? It's just a bunch of people working in a fucking hospital, right? So that's cheap to film.
Right. They don't.
Now, you're out in the wilderness. You've got horses. You've got medieval costumes. You've got
castles.
The yurts. You've got all these intricate sets.
Wardrobe.
And the sets and the wardrobe and the blood.
Makeup and the
blood, weapons and the armor. And how the fuck do you do that?
Remote locations.
On like 100 episodes a year.
I don't know. They're good at it.
They got to be in really good shape
whipping
too.
Them.
Is that how the Turkish
the writers whipping them?
It blows me away. It scares me a little bit. It intrigues me a lot. Yeah. I have so many emotions.
Maybe we can interview them.
And I don't know when are we going to have time to watch 200 episodes of Resurrection Ertugrul.
Never.
That is going to take us a while. And I felt inferior because I thought Lionheart had already watched this all, but it turns out he's only watched a handful of them himself. But he's planning on watching more.
What did he say about the count?
I don't know if I asked about. I don't think I wanted.
Please let us know.
Wanted to save that for our episode here because I know he'll probably have something to say. But yeah, what the hell, Lionheart? How do they do 200 episodes in like 2.5 years? Explain that, please. So there you go. Resurrection Ertugrul on Netflix.
How do you spell Ertugrul?
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Is it Y?
I'm assuming I'm saying it right. No, there's
Y,
no.
I'm gonna guess.
This isn't Game of Thrones. There's no Y's in the name.
Oh, so is it you?
It's it's Ertugrul.
Oh, E.
Did I say Ertugrul? I don't know. Ertugrul. Ertugrul.
So manly. Ertugrul.
And Ertugrul is very manly. He has a lady in town that loves him, and then there's this other lady that shows up, and it's hard to tell from the first episode, but there might be a little some spark there. I don't know. Maybe. When you save someone's life and murder many people.
They had lots of looks.
If we had just met and then like someone was trying to mug you.
Yeah.
And then I didn't just fend off your attackers, but I like sliced them to pieces with swords I had hidden somewhere. Like if I had just flat out murdered the people that were trying to mug you, would that make you like me more or would it scare you a little bit?
Is it back then or is it now?
Well, for now, let's say it's now.
Well, now, yeah, I would be scared. I'd be like, get the fuck away from me. Thank you. But I gotta go.
But like, I'd set the swords down and I'll clean the blood off them later and I just want to help you up.
Couldn't you just knock them out?
Are you? Well, they were trying to hurt you. What if they came back for more?
Yeah. Maybe back then it would be okay.
Perhaps I could take you to a movie.
I don't think so.
No, but...
No.
But I just saved your life. Well, no, I saved your purse. What if they were trying to do a little bit more than mug you? Then?
Well, okay.
If I stopped an assault.
Do you have to slice them to pieces?
Well, jugular's got to get cut, man.
Or you just cutting their jugular?
Well, there's probably let's say I take on like
repeatedly stabbing them.
It's like 6 guys. Well, no. Wait. Now let's be clear here. Here's the scenario. The scenario is not like it's one guy attacking you. I pull him off you. I get him down on the ground, and then I just stab him like 300 times.
Okay. Well, you said you sliced him to pieces.
No, it's like 6 guys. I pull swords out from under like my cool, awesome trench coat or something, right? Like Highlander style. And I charge at them, and then one guy loses his arms, another guy gets his head cut off. Maybe there's a stabbing right through the heart. There's a lot of different death happening. Okay. But I kill all 6 of them. But I'm not doing it because I enjoy the killing. I'm doing it because they were attacking you. I'm trying to save you, and also they deserve to die.
Do you do this often? Or is it just me?
Well, no, because like Ertugrul, I'm not. I'm a hunter. I'm just trying to provide for my people.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
but
you're
then
a hunter.
I saw this injustice, and instead of hunting the wild game of Orange County, California, no, I just carry swords just in case. This is not something I do every day. I'm not Batman. I'm not running around every night trying to find trouble. I just happen to have swords on me, and you happen to be getting almost raped.
So I would be grateful, but I would be afraid that we would always be looking over our shoulder about when you were going to be arrested.
Well, no one saw me do it. No, it's totes cool.
Well, all right. You're talking me into it. Just let's move on.
Okay, but if it was medieval times, you're saying that
it would be more
then
okay.
It's a shoe-in. It's totally okay for me to murder a bunch of people 400 years ago?
It seems so.
Okay.
Seems like it's the thing to do back then.
See a wrongdoing, murder the person.
Yes.
Yeah, but now that's not so okay.
No, it doesn't seem like that would be okay.
Okay. Well.
So, Ertugrul?
Ertugrul. We should watch it. You should watch it. Anyone listening?
I don't have enough patience to read all of the...
Well, yeah,
I wish they had
it's going to be a slow go for us.
Voiceover. Wouldn't that be nice?
It would have been. But you lose something when you have the dubbing. Yeah. And this is a conversation I've had plenty of times with my daughter when she was in her anime phase. There's a big difference between going with the original voices and just reading the subtitles versus the bad, like, American dubs.
Yeah.
It's just not as good. But maybe, how about this? If enough of us watch Resurrection Ertugrul on Netflix, maybe Netflix will make an American version of that. Wouldn't that be something?
Oh, or maybe they'll just translate it for us.
Well, no, we already watched it.
No, I mean, like, the future.
No, I'm thinking then they resurrect Resurrection Ertugrul.
But
right?
Then it would just be like, no. Because then everybody be like, oh, it's just Game of Thrones, people trying to fake Game of Thrones.
But we need more of that. Don't we need more of that?
We
only have Game of Thrones. Netflix is working on a sort of like a Lord of the Ringsian series. Like, it's based in Middle Earth, but it's not going to be telling the same. It's like prequels. It's like the stuff they're doing now with Game of Thrones. They're making like source material or background material for the Lord of the Rings movies. They're going to turn that into its own show, but that's not out yet. Where is the good high fantasy that we can watch? What do you got?
Me?
Yeah. What can we watch that's high fantasy? Yeah, nothing. Or, I mean, I guess Ertugrul isn't high fantasy either, but it's...
Well, I mean, high fantasy could be...
Although magic could get involved. We don't know where Resurrection Ertugrul is going.
I don't know.
Resurrection's in the name, so there could be something magical coming. Maybe. I really have no idea. I mean,
okay.
I'm just saying there's not a lot out there, man. So Netflix, if they saw that this Turkish show was popular, they could just hurl some money at Turkey, whoever makes the stuff out in Turkey. Well, and they could be like, let's license this show because it's got a great storyline. And then you could hire scads, boatloads of like American actors of Middle Eastern descent to fill your Ertugrul population. And then you could hire some actual blonde-haired, curly white dudes to be the bad guys and get cut to pieces by Ertugrul. I think it's got a lot of potential.
But I would feel bad that, I don't know, I think it should just remain the Turkish people, and they just should do 2 shows, one in English and one in Turkish.
So we should do an English version.
Right, I just don't want to have like other actors Americanizing it. I don't know.
Well, no, I don't want to Americanize it. We got to keep the basic idea the same. Takes place during the Crusades. We're in agreement there. And the Turkish folks are the good guys.
Okay.
Nothing's worse than, like, remember Robin Hood? Well, I mean, it wasn't really glamorized, but the Kevin Costner Robin Hood, where he started off as a crusader in the Crusades, and then he was our hero. And they didn't really portray the Crusaders as the good guys, but they really didn't portray the the Muslims as good guys either. Like they were portrayed as horrible savages that were torturing all the British people. So, we don't need that. I think Ertugrul is going to take the right tack on this one. Because the Crusades were not good.
No.
No, that was not a good part of Western history.
Okay.
I give it a big thumbs down.
I think everybody should watch it, and then Netflix will do it for you.
And if you do watch it, please give us a shout out so that we can. You want to come talk about it on our show with us? You could do that too. But either way, give us some notes or come say hi in some fashion. You can find us on the internets. Twitter, I think, is easily our most active outlet, and that is me at Pot of Thrones.
Me?
Yes.
At Pot of Thrones?
No, you're not Pot of Thrones. Someday, babe, you're going to get your own Twitter address right.
What do you mean me?
What?
It's me at Kid Free Weekend.
That is your Twitter, yes. At Kid Free Weekend.
Me?
You. Me. I am Jeff. Me. You can find me at Pod of Thrones. What part of this is so confusing? It's too late to be recording, I guess. You're just...
I thought you were saying the address.
You can reach me on Twitter at Pot of Thrones or Jennifer at Kid Free Weekend. We also have Jeff or Jennifer at podofthrones.com. You should check out podofthrones.com itself, the website. There have been some updates recently from our reporter on the street, Brenna. She's been going around doing some interesting things. She had a report. She saw.
We should get Brenna to call in.
We should. Yeah, do that.
Eyewitness.
We're just not. We
news.
haven't been recording enough to even prep having guests.
That'd be so cool.
But Brenda's always welcome on the show. But she has been doing some reporting for us for cinema and events outside of the Game of Thrones world. As you probably know, she did Westworld episode write-ups on our site as well. Mm-hmm. But recently, a couple things of note, she saw a preview of a movie called Davi's Way, which is available on Amazon Prime. And we haven't watched it yet, but we really should. It's a documentary about an actor named Robert Davi, who you definitely recognize from a lot of shit. The first thing that comes to mind for me, and probably you, would be he was one of the brothers in the Goonies. The bad guy, gangster brother guys. But you recognize him in a heartbeat. But he had a relationship with Frank Sinatra and had been working for a long time to try to do a tribute show for Frank, because he's also an amazing singer, Robert Davi. So there was a documentary, and it's real, but it has a Spinal Tap kind of feel to it. A comedy of errors, if you will. But Brenna said it is absolutely hilarious, and she had an interview with Robert Davi over the telephone. She transcribed it for us. It's on podofthrones.com right now. And she also was able to plug for us a 4K re-release of John Carpenter's The Fog. So
wow,
that is in theaters right now. It's in art house theaters around the country through November, I think. So
cool.
Feel free to check that out, and I'm sure it'll be available for home video too. And I think she was a little surprised at what 80s horror is like, because she's a young one, that Brenna. But it was an enjoyable experience all the same.
Well, how fun. Yay, Brenna.
Yeah, so that's what's been going on there. That's it, I think. Right? Anything else we want to talk about, babe?
No.
Okay. Fallout 76.
Fallout 76.
We did get to play some of that.
Beta.
We might have to do another special episode about Fallout 76 soon.
Right. I think we need to get the beta over with, and then we'll do it.
And the beta is basically done now. There's 2 more days of the beta test for Fallout 76 coming up, but they are not meant for people in our time zone that also have jobs. So we're done. We're done with the beta test. But let us remind you all that it is not cross-playable. So Fallout 76 is coming out for PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4, but those platforms can't talk to each other. So if you're on Xbox, reach out to us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let us know.
Jeff is Pot of Thrones.
I am Pot of Thrones on Xbox, and you are...
Jesse is Fawn.
Well, yeah, that's the question, right? That's why I changed my gamer tag finally, because I never knew what the numbers were after my sort of default Xbox gamer tag.
Well, but who else could be Dressy as Fawn?
Well, there's a bunch. I think you're Dressy as Fawn 41, maybe.
What?
You didn't make that tag up. It was randomly assigned to you years ago. But you always kind of liked it. You can keep it if you want. Or, hey, you know what? If you just want to nerd out about Fallout 76 and you're not playing on Xbox, we can still talk. But if you want to play together, that would be cool.
Yeah.
So let us know.
It could be team.
Mm-hmm. It's so fun.
It is fun.
Yep.
It's just, we could just sit there all day and build our house and cook some.
I kind of did that today.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time building a house.
Meat.
Yep. Got to bake your meat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I still have to get my Brahmin steak cooked.
That's so sad. It's been taking you so long.
I know, because it keeps ending.
True. But the game goes live November 14th. So if you have not been in the beta, but you're going to play. Do we get to
save all of our...
Yeah.
It'll carry through?
All of our stuff carries through.
There was a guy on that was level 14 today.
I saw a level 16 guy today. It's crazy. I mean, they're clearly hitting every beta slot.
Mm-hmm.
They probably don't have kids.
Yeah, they're probably...
slackers.
21-year-olds at mom's house.
They're skipping their classes at college to play Fallout 76 beta.
Ugh. All right, here we go.
All right, there we go. So that's what's been happening. So we had the Game of Thrones, we had the Ertugrul, we had Hill House. Those are all things you should be watching. And Fallout 76 you should be playing.
Agreed.
All right.
Agreed.
And we will record another episode soon. We'll keep an eye on the Game of Thrones headlines, and maybe we'll talk more about Hill House when we're done with it.
Cool.
Right. Cool. All right, now we're going to go watch Walking Dead. It's Rick Grimes' last episode, and I think that's it for tonight.
Andrew Lincoln's going to be narrating the next Fantastic Beasts book.
Oh, the audiobook.
The audiobook.
Yes, that'll be fun. We'll have to get that.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.